So let's call the meeting to order. Do we have a declaration of conflicts of interest? We're good.
Good.
Approval of the minutes. That would be, let's see it here, June
22nd? No.
22nd. Yeah, I see it here. Yeah.
Okay,
Second.
I'll
Okay.
move that. And who
Okay.
seconds? Or I guess he's whatever. First. And
Sure.
who's second? Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Then just got all these on my phone here. Give me a second here. Okay, and approval of the minutes. Do we have
Of the agenda.
yeah, the approval of the agenda, sorry, yeah. Looks good to me here.
It looks good to me. I'll put it forward.
Okay.
I'll
And
second.
Thanks.
okay. And I guess we're moving on to our guest tonight. Presentation from Ruth Long. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ruth DeLong.
Yay!
I'm not sure how much of a presentation. I thought it was more of a question and answer, but I've got a few. I don't really have any backstory for you people, other than I know you're trying to get a lot more active transportation going in the city. And
Yes.
so I don't know if anybody knows why I'm here. I'm the Trails Community Relations Coordinator for the province. So my role is mainly dealing with the Confederation Trail. I've been with them this summer for 10 years, and but also I work on the Bonshaw trails, the Strathgardney trails, the hiking trails, a bit involved in Brookvale. So I'm very much trail related.
Okay.
And you, of course, know that your section of the Confederation Trail in Charlottetown is leased from the province to Charlottetown, and it goes from the Joe Giz Park out to the Lower Malpeck Road. So the city is responsible for that section. For the province will help them here and there, and I've helped here and there, but the city is responsible for that part. Yeah, so the trails were very well used in town, and connecting up all your other active transportation lanes to the Confederation Trail and going around the city, it's coming along pretty well. Any questions in particular that you people, and has anybody been out riding on the different trails? That's what I did want to know.
Oh yeah, definitely. That trail is really, really good. And compared to other municipalities, I think we have a kind of a crown jewel in that trail, how it runs through the city. Do you know if, I know something that's been in the back of my head since winter, and they were talking about at the time when snowmobiles and stuff like that, I think it was out around, was it Winslow area where they kind of stopped there?
But actually, they come in as far as the bypass.
Right. Is that changing? Do you know? Because I know some people were saying that there's a lot of usage on the trail now, and it might be time to look at that.
Well, it is likely time. The lease for the Snowmobile Association, I think they still have 8 years on their lease. I don't know 100% for sure, but they did it, I think, in about 10-year increments. And I think it was a couple of years ago that it was looked at again. But you're right. There's a lot of use in that section. And, is there any way that, could the Winslow crew go out around? I doubt if you get that with the business right in Winslow, right next to the trail that sells snowmobiles and everything else, and all the business that comes from there. But, that's something that, you could look at, or the government and the city could look at.
Yeah, I just know with all the people have mentioned to me when they've known that I've been on the council, they were just wondering about because there's more like development heading up that way, more buildings being built, and not that I have a problem with it. Like if as long as everybody's riding properly and
Yeah.
doing what they're supposed to do on the trail, it's fine. But it's just more about density, I think, as more stuff gets built and more people get out that way. I just didn't know if there was any changes that were coming down the pipe, but I guess you're saying it's an 8-year lease left. So
Yeah, it's about that. The thing with that, if you're for winter use, maybe the city could invest in, working around Upton Park a little more with a grooming machine and getting people there, both sides of Upton Park, both sides of the highway. Maybe they could do a bit of grooming off one of the fields in Winslow where
that's a
people
good
could
idea.
go, so that you wouldn't have to use the Confederation Trail, but people in the area would have a place that's groomed, and they could go with their dogs and go with their fat bikes and go with their kids with sleds, pulling sleds and stuff like that, not too far from their community. And there's still enough land out there that you could approach landowners that say, could we just go off, maybe even with a snowmobile groomer, because it's all more or less provincial money, and you could make a deal and just sort of do a loop in there and keep the snowmobiles people on.
To me, I think that there's a lot of people that are not aware. I know we've had discussions about this in this group before, that aren't aware of that agreement, that they're not supposed to be on the trails at certain times of years. And to me, that's the most kind of hazardous thing about it. Do you know, Ruth, whose responsibility is it to publicize that?
That would be the PEI Snowmobile Association. As soon as they take over the lease from December 1st to March 31st, they pretty well have carte blanche, that they're supposed to do that media, and I'm sure the province would. I think they do post something. I'm sure they do post something on their website.
Yeah, I know there's an effort. It's just I live in Winslow and I see people on the trail that are walking and stuff with their dogs or whatever.
Yeah, and I don't, I think it's, it's posted on particularly between the Lower Malpeque Road and the Winslow Road. But
yeah, I think it is.
There should be more posting, but that would be up to the Snowmobile Association. So that the gentleman who's the head of that now is Grant Peters, and he's right there in Winslow at the Route 20, the snowmobile and RV park right there.
Yes, yeah.
So he works there, and he's the president. So that's who really should be contacted.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of it either up until it actually came up in our council that it even was leased. I always thought people were just kind of riding on the trail, so it would probably be better if they had better signage for a couple reasons. One, to alert people, and just because there might be snowmobiles, and two, that they have a lease, because some people might think that they're just riding on the trail.
That's true. Yeah,
and it'd be better for them, perception wise, and kind of better optics if they had something saying that this is I don't know
leased.
how they would word it. Yeah, leased or something, and that just basically says to people, oh yeah, I know they do have a right to be here, and just keep it clear for everybody.
Yep.
But I guess the snowmobile people would be the ones to talk to on that.
Yep. Yeah. The Grant Peters.
Okay.
Yeah. You could just, I think it's admin at peisa.ca, I think. But or you can just, give them a ring.
PEIS. Okay.
Ruth?
Yeah.
This is Sharon here. I'm wondering, it said that you said earlier where in it's from the bypass to
Yeah. From the bypass that the snowmobiles are allowed to go into is to the bypass. So they can go through the main trail right through from the Lower Malpeque Road, which the city leases. It's still like just on top of a lease, I guess. I don't know how that worked, but so Lower Malpeque Road to the bypass, and then from the bypass into Joe Giz Park, your city parks and recreation look after that, and they plow it and they maintain it for the winter and maintain it for the summer, for that matter. And yeah.
But from Joe Gitt, like snowmobilers are not allowed in there, are they, or are they?
No, are not from the
No.
bypass into Bill Gitt's Park.
Correct.
There's no
Okay.
no snowmobiles allowed.
Thank you. I was just clarifying. I thought that was the case.
One thing about your the Confederation Trail, and and all of your trails in the city, there needs to be, and I don't know how this is going to happen, but there needs to be an education about respect, riders with respect to walkers, and walkers with respect to riders, sort of moving out of the way. The trail's not that wide, and there's a lot of use, and some people are going way too fast. They don't have bells. They're supposed to have bells, and they come up behind a walker and zip past them, and the person jumps into the path of the cyclist, or three walkers and nobody moves over. So if you have communication people that know how to get out, or have people out there talking to users and to say, please respect each other's space here, that is a safety issue.
Well, all I can say is that kind of is what this group is like, where it's called Active Transportation Pathways, and we're trying to incorporate like bicycles, walkers, people in wheelchairs. Like I'm in a wheelchair, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Even last week, I was on the trail by the mall going to UPEI, and this guy coming behind me on a bike just zipped right by me, and like, thank goodness I didn't have my headphones, or I would have banged into him. And like, it's, you got to have a little bit of courtesy to slow down and
Yeah.
have awareness. So
So I'm
yeah,
not sure if that's like I have trail volunteers, and then they go out and, they're not really doing that kind of policing anymore. They did when the trail first started. There was tickets involved, and there was all kinds of stuff, but that's a bit heavy-handed. But you need a group of, some people out there just trying to slow these people down, or show them that this is just not respectful, and, hand them a card. But some people will just do what they want to do, and who cares? But really, maybe some people just don't know. I don't. It's a tough one, that one.
Yeah, I don't think there's much education on it, and as far as the bell thing goes. And I know that maybe I'll ask Doug who should we be contacting. Like maybe they'd have a resource or something that they could put on the trail, and if they'd have a budget even to give out some bells or something.
That's right. Yeah.
Spend a couple $100 on bells and say, hey, I noticed you don't have a bell. Here's a bell for your bike.
Yeah, and put it on for them.
Yeah.
Sort of, and I think you have to go with the carrot with the stick.
It's not just bikes though. Like it could be a group of people walking down the thing, the pathway, and a biker comes and like they don't really let them move out of the way, kind of thing. Like it's a shared community that everyone has to know their role and how to go.
And maybe you want to look into, what do they do up in Ottawa, or places where they have an awful lot of these paths? How do they go about doing that? Maybe they have the solution already there, and we just have to find it. If they have an active transportation group somewhere else it seems pretty successful, somebody could do a little bit of checking on that.
A good idea.
I'll do it.
Thanks.
You have a question?
Yeah. I was wondering if bike-friendly communities could partner with us with that kind of stuff.
I think that's a good idea.
Sorry, go ahead.
They are, getting more known, and people are, getting involved with them. So that might be a really good source.
Yeah, Ruth, I'm president of Bike Friendly Communities, as well as being on this organization. This is Carrie. And it definitely sounds like something that's up our alley. We are going to be producing some videos soon. This is not quite what we're talking about, but and one of the videos is going to be about sharing the path. So we'll certainly, I'm making notes here to include bells and those sort of things. But yeah, we would definitely be open to some kind of collaboration.
Yeah, it'd be great if the bells had bike-friendly communities on them. But now I might be getting a little too, but just to give you a little plug.
Oh yeah. Well, we're starting to look into getting into merch, doing racing, so maybe we could.
Bike-friendly communities, when they had that ride a couple of years ago, when the pathway on the bridge opened up, the Hillsborough Bridge, that was a great opportunity for learning and getting the community out. And I think something like that could be done again in a way, but in a bit more, with some education along with it, just showing the strength of the cycling community and then the walking community. It seemed to really be a little bit of an impetus to get out on your bike as a family and what have you.
Yeah, that sounds like definitely up our alley. We've been having this summer some smaller route rides and pop-ups, and we had an event in June that went really well. So we're kind of ramping up our in-person events again.
And how do those get communicated? So how do people know about them?
So far, we are just using our own social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, but it would be great to get a wider reach. They've been like the event in June was part of the city's cycling week, or it was called Bike Week. So they had advertised it for us as well, but
right. One thing about the Confederation Trail that might help with some visibility and a little bit more width is that if it was trimmed back more toward the ditch. I know people really sometimes they like it close because of the flora and the fauna and the what around, but it is not trimmed back nearly as much as the main trail is, the main Confederation Trail. If you've ridden both, as soon as you get inside the city, everything shrinks. Mm-hmm. So the if they head it a little wider, even if the grass verge is there, people can sort of have a little bit of space to step off or step to the side, but there's nowhere to go because you're right into the brush on the side. So that's one thing that really needs to come and be done, and sort of done the same way in the same standard as it is on the main trail. And I know Nancy doesn't have a whole big budget and people, but if you're looking to get more people active and out there, maybe more money has to be put toward that, and more people, or contract it out and do it similar to how it's done on the main trail.
Ruth, I was going to ask the question in terms of how is it, or who does the pruning or the cutback in the province, and is there an opportunity for like a bit of partnering and maybe just a bit of education on it?
Yeah.
Like maybe they can talk about it or go see it and shadow somebody that's doing it provincially, and then bring that into the city routes.
Well, we did actually last year. We met Dean was there, but the person, I forget his name now, who works under Dean and does the trails.
Okay.
What's his name? Anyway, we met him last year and showed him about, and we've met him a few years before. But anyway, we met again last year up on just off the Royalty Junction Road. Okay. And, talked about cutting back and what, the standard and whatever. And he tried and he did some, but it's too big of a job for one person with the equipment that he had. It's just not doable.
Okay, so it's a human resource issue for the city.
More or less, yeah. And even this year, like we on the Confederation Trail, it's managed now. Tourism used to manage it and parks, but the management was taken over by transportation last fall. And anyway, even this year, resources are getting a little tighter, or people or whatever, but they've contracted some of the mowing out to a guy who runs a remote control robot, big sort of 6-foot mower.
Wow.
and it's working well. But the trail in the city, because it hasn't been maintained nearly well enough for a lot of years, it's growing in to the front of the ditch rather than growing where we cut it back to the back of the ditch.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of work to do to catch up and keep it to its standard. Like there needs to be some serious money put into it to bring it up. And Wayne McPhee, who's the manager of the trail, and Stephen Swartz from Transportation, you know, they may be able to partner with you. You may be able to, hire out some of their people. I don't know, but it's, I think it definitely is something that should be done along the trail. And then all your other trails too, your active transportation. All of a sudden, a year like now, when there's so much growth, it's going to be, you're going to have issues if you're not on top of it.
Yeah, well, that's really good information to have, Ruth. And we can, we'll take that and absorb it and think about maybe asking for that and what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, and as far as your trails, I think the connections all around the city. If the getting people out and using them and sort of having a campaign to get more people out using walking and cycling and wheelchairs and whatever, it's all good.
Yeah, we're really
So-
lucky to have bike-friendly communities. They have done phenomenal work with that and continuing to do so. So you can partner with them at any time they need, for sure.
Thank you.
So if people want, I presume you have my email or my phone number, and if there's anything else or if I can do anything else, I'm more than happy to. Other than that, I don't know what else I can sort of,
Yeah.
give you.
I'm wondering, Ruth, whether I'm just thinking about this, whether we'd be able to see the SOP or the standard operating procedure that, the trails uses to, for specifics like the grooming, all of that type of thing. Would we be able to ever look at that?
Yeah, I think Nancy has it already.
Okay, good.
If you want, if she doesn't or whatever, just let me know and I'm sure I can get it from Wayne or I've got it on my file. And which sort of talks about, cutting back to the back of the ditch and the width of it and, that kind of thing. And there should be no reason you can't get that.
Ruth, I have another question, and it's in terms of, I guess it's in relation to climate and the change of it. And so is the dedicated hours to the provincial trail, has that increased over the last 5 to 10 years? The start and stop dates of people being hired, because it seems that we don't have a very, our winters aren't as long. And so we're seeing the use continue.
Yeah.
I wondered if the human resources of their hires are reflective.
Yeah, no, I think they should. And well, with the changeover from management and from the parks, not that they we always worked really hand in hand. Transportation always did the main building and maintaining, and we did the managing. So and with the changeover this year, in the last really year and a half, it's sort of started about a year ago. There's definitely some hiccups, and yes, people need to get out on the trail early. Like normally, they would have had the gates closed by the middle of April, but there was no staff. There was no staff until middle of May almost. So that was a resource issue, and that you have to go to your province, the provincial government, and say, we really want these gates closed at as soon as the snowmobiles are off. Really, there's no reason unless there's 2 feet of snow and they can't get them closed. But
yes. But I mean, we don't have a lot of snow April 1st, even into March, it's dicey.
Yeah. So as soon as the March 31st comes and there's no snow, they should be out there the next day closing the gates. And there's no reason, particularly within the city and you know, out toward Brackley and you know, those areas that get a lot of use from the public. And that
Yes,
is,
well, we had the same issue with, you know, garbage cans being brought in, picnic tables, benches being brought in, out of the parks and whatnot. Just as the result is that was always part of somebody's term, you know, that's what they did.
yeah,
But due to the climate, that's all had to change somewhat.
Yeah. yeah. And there's so many people using,
Yeah.
you know, the trails, so many more, thank goodness. But you know, they're out there and they do want the garbage cans and they do want the picnic tables and they do want to be able to use the space where they you know, and get on it as early as they can or get at it. Or now with fat bikes and snowshoes and all the other gadgets, it's a year-round thing.
Yeah, it seems like it's year round.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to increase the human resources and try to get those people, yeah, to be able to support that for AT.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't take much to close the gates properly. So, you know, even the supervisor that's on all year, like there's there's 3 supervisors in each county and then an overall supervisor. So, you know, the zone supervisors don't come on until, like, as I said, mid-May this year. And that is too late.
Yes. Yeah.
So is that our scope, Margaret, as far as the province? Are we just talking about Charlottetown area?
I think the I don't know specifically, but I do think that the city follows, you know, somewhat of what the province leads. So if there's a term for people to come into the province for a certain amount of weeks, like there's lots of those positions.
Yeah.
I do believe the same thing happens in the city.
Yeah.
So those positions may need to be extended one way or another. I mean, I'm not specifically sure, but I do think when we have people using them actively and the scope of the work that needs to be done in terms of what Ruth has pointed out in terms of the cutting and making that safe for all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a resource. But yeah, and you know, you have to get somebody in there that, you know, cares about it and understands it and can be trained, and you know, maybe they go off with the provincial crew for a few days and see
Yeah.
how it's done there rather than, and that would be money well spent. So once they see how it's done there, then they can come back and say, okay, this is the standard that sort of needs to be is best. And because the crew, the provincial crew does know how to look after it when they've got the resources. So
Mhm. That's good to hear, Ruth.
Yeah, that's great to hear. The only other comment, like I've never used it past Charlottetown, but the one thing that I like about most of the trails is like if it's in an area that's you can't really get off, there's usually like a pathway, like a wheelchair accessible pathway that you can get off certain areas. Like I'm not sure if they have that in further out, but that's convenient if you're
yeah, yeah, it's pretty well wheelchair accessible right through. Actually, I'm doing a project with Trans-Canada Trail right now, and Alan Stanley. You may know Alan.
yes, definitely.
Yeah. So Alan and I last year mapped out for Trans-Canada Trail from Stratford, pretty well from the Esso right through to Lake Verde or to West Piscot. So he went, you know, we went out. I was the guide. He had his wheelchair with the Firefly, and he's done different section, and it's all mapped out. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to do 8 kilometers around Summerside on the trail. So it's on an app. People who are disabled can go on this app and say, yep, this is what it looks like. And if there's any issues, then the area is supposed to clean it up and fix up where they need to. And yeah, so.
And is
So
the
this
app,
is all provincial, Ruth?
It's through federal. It's through the Trans-Canada Trail Foundation.
Okay.
So if you went on their website, they would say, okay, Charlottetown, or I think it's Stratford to West Piscot or Lake Verde, and it would pop up there, and you could go, and there's some few pictures, and then if there's any issues, they usually type, have it listed, and they're hoping to do more every year.
so that's the app if you go on their website?
Yep, Trans-Canada Trail. And I in the new guide, this year's Confederation Trail Guide, there's a little blurb that I put in in the guide about accessing it, and so people who have the guide can see that. And I think, and that would be the guides on the website too. So, if they're looking around, sometimes these things are hard to find, but they are there.
Yeah,
But
that's
that information could be
great.
put out somewhere.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions for Ruth?
And if you have some afterwards, just send me an email and I'll answer them, or you can call me up individually. And if you're thinking late at 2 o'clock in the morning, oh yeah, I wish I'd asked her that.
Oh,
Sure.
2 o'clock it is.
okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you very much, Ruth. It was great to talk to you.
Yep. And if anybody wants to ever go for a bike ride or a walk, or if I assist you with in your wheelchair, I'd love to join you, and we could go for a little ride and talk, or walk and talk. And sometimes just getting out there, the juices flow, and you just sort of think, oh yeah, think of this or see that or whatever. So let me know.
Maybe we should talk to the mayor and see if we can get some discretional Bell Fund money and see if we can go for a group walk, bike
campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it. Hopefully, it'd be nice to do it before the winter comes.
For darn sure.
September. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks.
Take care. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ruth.
Thank you.
Okay. That was great. Next, moving on to reporting from department liaisons. First, Public Works. Do we have a report from Public Works?
Yes, I do. It's short. The only update to share at this moment is with regards to the new AT pathway along the perimeter highway. The contractor is nearing completion of this work. There are some minor landscape touch-ups to do, and a new fence is being installed between the new pathway along Brockley Point Road and the paved parking lot beside the airport.
Okay.
That's all that I have for an update for this month.
So you're talking about like the spot if you were to like on the way to the airport where like the jet and like the Murphy's place is.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. I haven't been. I'm gonna have to go check that place out.
Oh, just a side note here. Doug, and I was talking to the mayor, and Doug sent me a message too about another member for the council, and they said because the election's coming up in the fall, they're not going to fill that. So, if anything's to happen, then it would be after the election.
Okay. And that's the election for
Mayor and council.
Okay, mayor. Okay.
Because he said things could change, like if they get a new mayor in and then they decide to take it in a different direction, then the council might not be there anymore. So they said they're just going to keep it a status quo until the
Okay. And
happens.
when is that election? Is it this fall?
It's September, isn't it?
Oh, geez, I
I
haven't
think it's
seen
September.
anybody. Huh.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I haven't seen anybody campaigning for it. Oh, and what were you gonna say?
Oh, nothing. Nothing.
Okay. Okay. Next, moving on, we have Parks and Recreation. Do we have any news from them or for Parks?
I think that's the one that's not being, hasn't been assigned.
Yeah. I mean, not really. There's been some major changes too because Ramon is now gone from the city. And
I
then
seen
Jess,
that.
and then Jess Brown, who was with her, she's out on maternity. So they're kind of in flux right now with who we would be talking to anyway.
Okay.
So
What
I don't.
about the guy we had for a meeting there who was the Parks and Rec guy? His he was one of the guys we had for an interview or for a meeting here a bit with Parks and Recs. His
Doug was
name.
also, the mayor was saying too that if we need to interface, Doug's a good interface for us to go between departments if we're unsure of what to do.
Okay.
So maybe I'll interface with him before the next meeting and just see if there's anything that he's aware of that's happening. I know that out by the French school, the trails on the back there, they put that new bridge in.
Oh,
So
is that open now?
yeah.
Where's that? Say that again. I'm sorry.
If you go up behind the French school,
Oh,
and there's a trailer park right at the end of that road. That used to be a long time ago, like 20, 30 years ago now probably. There used to be a dump back there, and it's all been buried over. And there's still trails back there, but it had an older bridge, so they basically put in a brand new bridge, and they're gonna be kind of making that area better back there. And then with the Andrews Homestead on the other end of that, they've opened up that now, so you can walk that road down by the Andrews Homestead and go straight through the woods. Before, you used to have to kind of avoid that property.
okay.
Yeah, I think I know where you're talking about. Like that, if you were to the road that takes you to the French school, you go all the way to the end of it, and there's like a bridge, a blocked off bridge, and are you still not allowed to cross that bridge and go on that private road?
No, it's all good now. It's all open and leveled out. The bridge is finished. So yeah,
What
and
do
I
they
think
have on that private road? Anything, or is it
it's
just
there's trails. Like if there's the main trail, which is the old road itself, and that takes you all the way to the top of the hill, almost to Jules Market.
Yeah.
And it also takes you to the soccer fields, and then or you can go into the woods, and there's like more like rugged biking trail, white walking trails in there. So, and I think that that gentleman that we had that time that was here, I can't remember his name now. He was also saying in that Acadian Forest area and in by Andrews Pond, they're going to be developing some trails in there. I haven't seen much development of that yet, but the bridge I think is kind of the first step. So, anyway, that's the only parks things that I've noticed going on where that's looks pretty cool back there now.
Okay. And next, police. Do we have a police report?
I have nothing to report from the police.
Good. Next, then, sustainability.
I think that was Donna. So again, we'll get one of us to contact Doug and he can get us. Is that what you're saying, Jason?
Yeah, the mayor said Doug would be a good, because Ramona was kind of our person that would interface, but she's gone, and she hasn't been doing a whole lot with our council. So he said Doug should be a good person to have as an interface go between.
Okay. So I can contact Doug regarding sustainability for next month, if that's okay, or do you want to, Jason? You're doing the other one anyway, but.
If you could, yeah, just
Yeah.
just interface with him and
Sure.
we'll just see what he says.
Okay. The next, cycling PEI.
Nothing from them. Their newsletter's quite good. I don't know if any of you have been reading their newsletter, but it's
Where do you get that at?
if you go to their website, you can sign up for it.
Okay.
And
Email it to you.
yeah, it's really great. It has a ton of information. It's laid out really well, and it's not just focused on Charlottetown. Like, it's all over PEI and different events, and it's really informative. They've done a really good job with it.
Okay. And bike-friendly communities.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a lot to report this month, but we're just ongoing with the route rides every Tuesday night right now, I think. And pop-ups around town have begun to gather information from people. And
How do you mean pop-ups? How do you, what?
we have a summer student who's going around to different spots around town to it's part of our outreach campaign to basically get research from people about like barriers to cycling, what's stopping them from doing it, and really get like concrete information that then we can take and turn around into part of our outreach, like our videos, our educational stuff, and our advocacy for what we need to advocate for. So it's just a little informal chat session with them. I think they might have a little, I'm not heavily involved in the planning for that side of things, but I think they're taking like post-it notes with information. They're talking about specific routes people want to use, stuff like that. That helps. Yeah, but it's largely Mitch's side of the project where he's creating one of the things that's going to come out of this project is a network plan for the capital region. If you're aware of the provincial plan that's been commissioned by, is it Upland, I think, the company that does that for the province, but it doesn't cover the capital region of Charlottetown, Stratford, Cornwall. So Mitch is creating one, which would be basically like a cohesive, connected vision for AT paths going forward that would connect to each other. And then the next step, once that is created, would be to, you know, if it's seen as a good thing by this group and by others, then to get the cities and towns to adopt it, hopefully, or at least use it as an informal kind of guide or way to look to the future of what our networks could look like. So
Is Mitch work like Mitch Tweel? I'm thinking Mitch Tweel, or is it?
I'm sorry, Mitch Underhay, my brother.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. There's a few Mitches around who works with me on Bike Friendly. He's our executive director, and he's also a planning consultant. That's just his job, like his line of work. So
Right.
Contracted him to work on this project.
I'm a newbie, so I don't have all the.
No, it's okay. I shouldn't assume.
Okay. And that's all you have for bike-friendly communities?
Yeah, but again, if this group wants to work together on anything, including the bike bell idea, and I think maybe Jason, you mentioned, I know they've said before we have some money we can spend for this group. I don't know how we access it, but maybe that is something we can pursue.
Okay. And next is the discussion we've been having the last couple meetings, and that's the Belvedere Roundabout discussion. Do we have any more discussions on this ongoing issue?
I haven't heard a thing. Has anybody else?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
No.
I actually sent an email out with the question. Wasn't this, we were doing questions? You had a bunch of questions, or was that last one? I sent an email out when the mayor went to the beautification committee. I said, maybe you guys aren't getting my emails, but it showed him talking about the AT pathway and why it is so small. Is that what we're talking about, the roundabout?
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the reasons given during that meeting by Scott was that project was started in 2008. So at that time, AT pathways weren't even a thing they discussed. It was all sidewalks. So that's one of the reasons why he said the plan went that way. I'm trying to think. I sent you guys, nobody got my emails, eh? Guess it's, okay, well, that's all right. I can resend them. I'm trying to find the email from Scott that answered our question. Remember we had a bunch of questions?
Yeah, I do remember. You're not sorry. Yeah, I do remember, but no, I don't think I'm going back through my email to see.
Well, I'm just going to look here to see if I can find it. I was looking while you guys were talking, but I was also taking notes. So. Can we move on to the next agenda item and I'll look and then
Sure.
can we swing back?
Yeah, that's perfect. We don't really have much left. We have another discussion about return to in-person meetings. I like the thought of returning back sometime. It's nice to communicate with people in person. It's just sometimes the evenings can be, yeah, is that the best time for everybody? It sounds like it is. Most of the other meetings, they do it in the afternoon or the lunchtime, but understandable that can't be most people can't fit in that due to work and life outside the meeting, but
Evenings are best for me for sure.
Yeah,
Evenings
I'm pretty
are
well open for the most part. Yeah.
Evenings are best for me as well. I can do days, but
Yeah.
I'll do whatever you guys want. We can continue this way, or if you want to do meetings.
Yeah, well, with the numbers of the COVID looking like it's increasing, it's probably smart to stick with it for the next couple months at least. Maybe in the winter if it gets less COVID possibilities. It's working for the most part, I'd say. We just have a little issues with the teams, but we figured it out and we probably won't have an issue with it next time. We're just learning. Yeah.
I find the audio quality actually sounds a lot better.
Here? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I've been using my headphones, my wireless headphones, but I switched to a new brand and they're not as good, so I'm just using my phone and it sounds great.
Yeah, no, it sounds really good.
Okay, and so yeah, we might as well stick with what works here now, and maybe few months down the road we can look into it again. And last here, new business. Do we have any new business?
I have some new business. Is it okay to proceed now, Ryan?
Perfect.
So I had two people contact me regarding from Belvedere Avenue lights up North River Road to Beech Grove Road. I know that as a group we've spoke about this many times. They, as you drive down from Belvedere Avenue, there's a little street to the left, and then there's a street or two like to the right there. And there is a pathway and a crosswalk.
Margaret,
Yeah.
I think you mean North River Road,
Oh, sorry. What did I say?
Belvedere Avenue.
Oh, okay.
Right? Is that what you mean, North River
Yeah.
Road? Yeah, yeah.
So when you're at the, yeah, so the lights from, yeah, so it's a strip from North River Road to Beech Grove Road.
From Belvedere.
And I had someone contact me and state that they put a medium there to try to slow traffic down. It's very petite and small, and I understand that there's not a lot of room for maybe AT extension, but it's a dangerous part of North River Road. And someone told me that there was a mother with children going across, and she barely got across the road there. And someone else said that they walk it every day. They mentioned it to me, and that it's not clear. You know, like there's no light on the medium, like where it flashes so that you're aware of it. There's nothing really there other than that. And yeah, so they brought that to my attention.
So just for clarification, like I'm just trying to visualize in my mind where that is. Are you talking about the like crosswalk area by where the Charlottetown rural is, and that area there that takes you all the way down to like the industrial area there, like the big pathway that takes you to like like the new where like Queens County Residential Services and like that area? Is that North
It's
River? Is
just
that where
a
you're
little
talking?
bit up the road from it.
It's more towards Belvedere Avenue, Ryan. Like it's more towards going towards Charlottetown.
You're talking about the area on North River where where Belvedere ends, and it
Not that far up. I think what you're talking about is down near the pond area, right?
Yes, and
Yeah.
so on the left there's a little street, and I think it's called Waterview.
Yeah.
And there's a little where that sort of body of water is on the left. On the right-hand side is the fields of Charlottetown Rural. It's just before you get there.
Okay.
And it's like there's a little bit of a trail there on the left-hand side, and then you can cross over and join the trail in and around Charlottetown Rural. But there is a little, I call it like a petite in the middle of the road to sort of slow the traffic there. But I don't think it's acting, or I don't think it's taking the attention of motorists like it should be.
Okay.
So it's very challenging. There is a crosswalk there. It doesn't quite line up, but I just think, you know, if we ever can make a recommendation to have some kind of a flashing light there, I think it would be very helpful.
Well, we've done this in the past, these recommendations, of course. I forget her name already, but she used to always do them, so I don't know how to do them. She says there's a form. Jason, do you know how to do a recommendation to a committee?
That would go through Doug.
Okay.
Yeah, he would be the one to contact, and yeah.
Okay, I'll partner with you later, Margaret. I'll send you an email about that, what you in particularly want, and then I'll get a hold of Doug And we'll do that up for the next meeting. Is everybody in agreement of that? Can we move for a recommendation?
Sounds great. I think it's a great idea.
So you're gonna first that, Ryan. Do I have a seconder?
I'll
Or do I-
second.
Okay.
Okay.
And everybody is in agreement?
Correct.
Correct.
Yep.
Any other new business?
No, but I did find the updates for the questions you asked,
Okay.
if we want to go back there.
Perfect. Another question about the Belvedere roundabout. So, is there not going to be any sidewalks in that area and just AT pathways, or is there going to be sidewalks and AT pathways? Just to clarify.
There's
Or
just going
is
to
that-
be one,
Okay.
right?
Yes, the original plans were for just a sidewalk, and now the updated plans, the sidewalk has been changed to a multi-use path.
How about I go over these questions, Ryan, and some of your answers, you might get some of your answers met.
Okay, and just another question then. What are they gonna do with the sidewalk that already exists on like where the bank is and Sam's? Like, is that sidewalk still gonna be there, or what are they gonna do?
I don't think they're touching that. I think whatever's there's just gonna marry into the new roundabout.
Okay. There you go.
Okay.
You can go there.
So the first question was, can a copy of the new revised roundabout include AT pathways be forwarded to the committee ASAP? The response from Scott: the revised drawings are not completed. They will be released to the public as soon as they are reviewed and finalized. I will share them once completed. Any comments over that one, or?
Nope.
Okay. Number 2 was the AT pathway, from what we understand, is 4.92 feet wide. We as a committee believe that's a safety issue. We are looking for at least something that's 6 feet because it's quite narrow. The response I got after all of that, and the other thing I put in there was that it only goes one way, right? The counterclockwise. So this answer is, this is something that is being double checked, but as it stands right now, the average width will be 1.5 meters with the potential for a few areas to be wider. As I have noted previously at other meetings, the original design that was used for the concept and land purchasing did not take into account AT. Due to this, the city only purchased enough land to fit the roundabout and a standard width sidewalk. In many spots, we are right up against the property line. Unfortunately, the roundabout diameter is set in stone, as there are minimum dimensions we need to meet, design standards. Once the pathway is open, it is something that we will keep a close eye on and how the public will use this pathway. I will note that this is an unusual idea. This is something that I haven't seen before, but I think it can work quite well. We are aware that some folks may not obey the signage, but I think at the end of the day, most follow the rules, or some will find another way to get around the intersection. Again, this is something we will monitor and follow up once we open up the multi-use pathway.
I hate responses like that because that's just such a laissez-faire response.
I agree.
Once it's done and it's built in concrete, you can't. So you monitor it. What do? Do you rip it up later and buy more land? That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's a dishonest answer, and it's a kiss-off answer, and I don't like it, and I don't like the attitude behind it. And they've been working at this for how long? And active transportation's been going on for how long? Like, it's just disingenuous under so many circumstances, especially when we had to have community groups like bike-friendly communities, go out and say stuff in our committee, and it's very frustrating. I doubt they're going to change anything. I think this is the way it's going to be.
I know the follow-up was I had called the mayor regarding that answer. And I said that I would like that the committee would like him to ask why we cannot have it widened with that dimension thing in the middle, the things that we suggested.
Yeah.
And if you go to, I will send you the link again, and with the time, it shows him asking that question and Scott answering it. I don't think it's a better answer.
It's not. It'll be the same thing to him. It's
Yeah.
Nobody pushed it. They're just like, yeah, it's done. Move ahead. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Now, when Richard talked to me, he said it's not over yet, but I think it is as well, Jason. I don't know who else to go to.
The mayor can only do so much, and it's
Yeah.
just unfortunate that they're not taking it seriously. Like, they're just basically, they're like, well, you're getting a lane that works for everybody. I'm like, well, it's going to work somewhat for some people. It's not going to work for everybody.
Well, and even in the number one answer was the revised drawings are not completed and they'll be released to the public.
Yeah.
So in other words, you don't get them ahead of time.
Well, what's going to happen is this is the final plan that's released to the public. This is the same thing they tried to do with Fitzroy Street. And it's just like, we know better. We've not taken into any of the circumstances or things that can happen. We're just going to go ahead and do it. And it's not until people scream and freak out. Like, and I hate that it has to get to that. Like,
Yeah.
I would much rather people be informed and talk to stakeholders and talk to other people before it happens, right? And it's just like they're so hell-bent now on, like, can they not wait a year? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if we were to tell them, well, why can't you guys negotiate for more land and wait another year? But they're not. Like, they're going to do this project come August, hell or high water.
Well, they could do towers first and then switch the next.
Yeah, that's ours. Who knows?
That's a whole other thing. I do have a couple more. I agree with you, Jason. I'm like you. I don't know where to go anymore. Do you have any suggestions?
I honestly don't think there is anything to do.
No.
I've talked to the mayor myself. We've talked to the mayor as a group. You've talked to the mayor. We've tried to talk to the people that are building this, but obviously, they're not doing a whole lot. Bike Friendly Communities has talked to them. And there's really no movement happening. So
the third question I asked was, could the Public Works Department please send all plans of their projects the AT committee would like to examine through an ATP lens? Thank you in advance. And he did say in this one, as plans come in and we work through them, we can definitely make an effort to provide the plans in advance. Doesn't really give me anything concrete that'll do it, but
yeah.
You can ask the question, what does effort look like to you? Or what should effort look like? Or what should we expect in terms of effort?
Mm-hmm.
okay.
E for effort.
Yeah. I can definitely put that little blurb in and then say as a secondary question, we want to know what effort looks like to him or to the Public Works Department.
Sharon, I would take the approach of the reason we want to look at them through an AT lens is to help you and prevent this sort of thing from happening again. What happened with the roundabout, where the plans have to be changed after the fact. Like, the sooner they can get to us, the sooner we can help. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
as opposed to an adversary sort of position to be like, we're in this with you. We want to help make this easier. We're here as a resource kind of approach.
Yeah, okay. I can absolutely begin the email just like that.
We could try.
Absolutely. Sometimes that works better than being adversarial, as I didn't think we were, but some of the responses feel like that. The last one was just about the Frank Macaulay Park, and that matters with Parks and Recreation. So those were the questions that were asked. So I have one follow-up question. which I will do with Scott this week. And then I will resend, if anybody wants to see that on YouTube when the mayor was asking, I can, again, I think I've been sending it through my husband's account by accident. So that's why you're probably gone to your junk mail. So I will resend it on my account.
Okay.
And I think that the key with the group, and I think we've had this sort of as our foundation, is that we want to partner on all of this, and we want to be able to have the AT lens on it. I'm certainly not an expert in any of it, but I think that we have some people on our group that certainly have some great ideas, and we are appreciative that our questions are, being answered, and appreciative of the progression, the progress that's happening. It's, I think we just want to make sure that every little thing has been kind of looked at.
Mm-hmm.
And know that, we've done the best that we can do. And we certainly want to, believe that they've done everything they can too.
Yep.
Yep,
For the most part, I think they do. I think it's just in collaboration.
Yeah, I think what you and Carrie are saying is the same thing, and we should come from the approach that we're here to support and help. And we actually have some people on these committees that can see it from the AT lens personally. And with that comes.
Okay. Speaking of that, I kind of just thought of a new business myself here, and I finally went down past KFC in that new area, and
Mhm.
I went down the bridge. I don't know how long that's been there, but the pathway that takes you under the bridge. Do you know where I'm talking? Like,
Yeah.
St. Peter.
water is. Look, I finally went down there. Like, how long has that existed?
Just since last fall.
Because I went down there and honestly, it looks gross. Like graffiti.
Oh, the graffiti. Yeah, that part is gross. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that
like I don't know if there's something that like if there's like a beautification person you could speak to in Parks and Rec or anything like that that could just paint over that because that, but if you paint over it, somebody's gonna come back and do it again.
yeah, you're
But
giving them canvas.
yeah, and that's like that was something probably to expect, but like it just kind of, I don't know if it deteriorates people from going down there. Just that, but it's like I finally went down there and I was kind of disappointed with that, but I guess that's, you kind of expect that, but I don't know if there's something that we could do to let people aware of that, but it's,
Maybe we can get spray paint and go down there and take care of it ourselves.
yeah,
We
like
can write happy, positive, affirming messages over the other messages.
yeah,
Maybe we could get a graffiti artist to do something really neat there.
yeah, because like
pretty.
yeah, right now you go right before you get in it. It says some pretty nasty things on it, so it would be good to get rid of that.
Yeah. Well, we can ask. We could ask Doug who
Like
direct that to.
yeah, and maybe like I like your idea of like put like maybe changing it to a color that you can't spray paint on, or I don't know if that exists because there's so many
Camouflage.
colors. Yeah, camouflage. But yeah, I went through it and it's a great pathway because like you can take that way right or left when you go that way, and it'll take you all the way through like the apartments that are on Norwood there, all the big
Yeah.
apartment buildings there. It goes right through there, and it's really nice. Like, I like using it. I'm gonna have to use it more, and it's fairly wheelchair friendly. Like, it wasn't difficult to use, and
It'll take you through the too. There's a nice. It'll loop around the pond, and then you can go through the woods, and it loops
yeah,
back.
that's the way that I'm talking about. I didn't
Yeah.
go the other way, the
Yeah.
Mel's way, but I went that way, and it was kind of refreshing, definitely.
Ryan, do you want to contact Doug about that,
Uh,
or do you want someone else?
I can probably contact him on that.
Well,
Yeah, he's good to deal with.
Yeah, just
Okay.
ask him who we go to about that.
Yeah, that's good. Yep. Any other new business? Are we? My phone ringing here.
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, with that being said, it looks like we can adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks,
See
everybody.
you all
Bye.
next month.
Bye.
Bye. It is gone.